What's good, y'all? Elite Live Streams was back. We back late night, you know what I'm saying? Just kicking it, doing some research. Felt like I just hop on real quick. Why not? You know what I'm saying? I ain't got much going on. Salute to all you guys out there. Hope you guys are doing well. I'm gonna keep it lo-fi today. You know what I'm saying? With late night. So got some lo-fi going in the background. We watch some videos and somebody on this one, but I'll have some fun. You feel me? Ain't got nothing going on, so why not hop on stream for a little bit, you know? So yeah, make sure you guys like and subscribe. Look at some videos, man. Just surf the internet. Got the, chill nights on, just hanging out, man. So I hope you guys are doing well out there. You know, Christmas is right around the corner. So I hope you guys, whoever celebrates, hope you're with your family, all that good stuff. Yeah, man. Hope you guys are enjoying the holidays. You know, I'm just thinking I ain't really got much going on. It'll be, with my family probably around the Christmas area time. So we'll see how that goes. Let me switch.
There we go. Now we doing what we're supposed to be doing. But yeah, man, hope you guys are doing well out there, man. We kicking it, having a very, very cool holiday. But yeah, I wanted to watch this video, man. I follow this guy. He's like an old photographer, video. Think he's like a filmmaker, and he always has like good videos on there about like Blackamericans and old, public access shows and stuff like that. So figure we could watch this together. You know what I mean? Let's check it out.
You want to know what in the hell a ghetto was like? You want to know what in the hell it's like to live on the stinking west side of Chicago? Well, me and my little black brother are going to show y'all, Whitey. Watch this.
I'm Dave Dugan, and we've invited a cross-section of concerned citizens to a meeting in Chicago. Our question is this: will anything move the white man and mobilize the black man to end the domestic war and bring about a constructive peace? The place we've chosen to ask that question is Chicago.
My name is Russ Meek. I am a writer, a musician, a poet, and I live in the black ghetto on Chicago's west side.
All right, that's pretty straightforward. My dad is from Aurora, Illinois. So, growing up in the Midwest and Chicago, I got a lot of roots out that way. So I'm always, interested to see these type of stories and watch this type of content, because it definitely hits a nice little connection for me, being, my dad's from the Midwest. And so the struggle, a lot of our Black American people came from the South and they went up to the Midwest, and it was up there in Chicago, Illinois, Kansas, Milwaukee. A lot of people don't know that, but there's a pretty big Black community in Milwaukee, and of course, Missouri. So, a lot of us was up there as well, you know what I'm saying? And they was fighting a good fight.
This somewhat imposing building, the Chatfield Apartments, is my daily abode. I am one of those who love Stokely Carmichael. I am one of those who believe that nonviolence is the philosophy of the fool, and that we are a new breed, a class of black men and women who would rather die on our feet than live on our knees.
Hey man, listen, that's I think that's resonating with a lot of Black Americans right now, and especially just the energy that has been kind of going on for a minute. A lot of people were feeling that, you know what I'm saying? They're feeling that in themselves, where they just kind of, are not down with the chucking and jiving. They're not with the get along, the go along gang. They have no real, no real incentive to, coon themselves out to be somebody that they not. And that's kind of fire to me. I love that part of, kind of the open and honest, consciousness that Black Americans are starting to, exude and and we ain't taking no shit off nobody. And it started with the ancestors, like, you know, like this brother right here, you know what I'm saying, who had that mentality, you know, to kind of, you know, influence us for the way that we go about stuff these days. You know what I'm saying?
This is also a street where people live. This is not Washington Street. This is Maypole Street. When I was a kid, a maypole meant a festive celebration. And I think of drowning people being told, don't try to swim. Mm-hmm. And when you look at this street, you wonder about the man on the stoop. You see him in his red shirt, and you ask him, how are things going, as I did, and he'll tell you, not so good. This too is my neighborhood, where my black brothers and sisters live and die. And this guy, he's just back from Vietnam 4 or 5 days ago.
Yeah, man, this is how, you know, a lot of Black Americans, you know, this is Chicago. So, you know, it was a lot of that influx. My dad is a Vietnam veteran, you know what I'm saying? And he was living up in Aurora, Illinois, you know, with my older sister, you know what I'm saying? And this was before I was born. But yeah, a lot of them settled right there, you know, in Illinois and Chicago, the surrounding areas. You know, like I said, there was a huge influx from a lot of Black Americans who were in the South, migrated up to the Midwest, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of them settled out there in Illinois. And, you know, my dad being one of those people, our family. And so it's definitely, you know, like I said, I haven't seen this video, but, you know, we're just watching and kicking it, but it definitely resonates with me because I do have a lot of roots up there in the Midwest in Chicago and also, you know, Wisconsin and Milwaukee. So it's always dope to, you know, see the elders that was, you know, out there at that time and, you know, the rich history of Black Americans in Illinois and Chicago, man.
And when we talk, he told me one thing sure, that not like MacArthur, he will not return. What are they fighting for? Well, maybe for these guys, these Madison Street merchants, these exploiters of my people. Yeah, and look, not only do they exploit us, but they also have fringe benefits like that. I bet their daughter would never marry a nigger because her daddy would lynch him.
I mean, this was the reality, right? It wasn't very long ago when, you know, this was the reality of a lot of Black Americans, you know, and I think it's always good for me to make sure that, you know, I bring these type of videos and reference points. You know, I do a lot of research, so I wanted to, you know, have a little study session. We can just watch and indoctrinate ourselves and learn together as I'm like, you know, just peeping around these here internets. And you got to stay connected with history, y'all. This history is always going to be what, you know, keeps us on that determining factor to remind us who these people are and what they did to us and how long this has been going on, you know. And that's why I see a lot of, you know, these people out here who are, you know, what would I say? They're doing and chucking and jiving. And now we're starting to see where there is no coming back from that for a lot of these people. And so it is what it is, in my opinion. Like, they're going to have to figure it out on their own. And I find it hilarious, you feel me? Because, you know, from my perspective, like, I've definitely worked hard on getting that knowledge of self and doing my own research and breaking the indoctrination that you go through in school, you know, high school, college, you know, and certain histories that are hidden from us. And I did my own research to learn and to grow from that. You know what I'm saying?
And here's the liquor store, along with the bars. White owners? Yeah. White managers? Yeah. But then Black power works too. Ask A&P. These guys are now managers. Yeah, that's right. And why? Not for humanitarian motives, but because Black power stepped in. Gee, look at this. They sell everything in the way of food. How about those garbage cans? Last week I saw a young Black boy about 7 years old, eating from them. Yeah, in the midst of plenty, they starve. But here we see them telling jokes to colored kids. Oh, yes, that's what they said. I said, what are you teaching them? Said, oh, nothing. We're telling jokes.
Yeah, this was the reality of poverty in that time, man. You know, kids were, like he said, literally eating out of the trash can. It was dire times for real. Like, a lot of people were going through it. You know what I'm saying? It was a very, very hard time. And so it's crazy, you know, sometimes we watch these videos because it wasn't that long ago, you know, and I think some people think, you know, or are so maybe disconnected from reality that they just don't really understand time and how, you know, influential time is, where it was like there was a time where this was like happening like on a consistent basis. And so it's very interesting that, you know, people forget how quickly people forget, I guess, you know.
And around the corner, they eat out of garbage.
Sorry.
Hey, this guy don't miss many a meal. He's a little con man, yet he has the dignity of futility. He graduated from the back alley blues and came around to the walk, the street. See those cars passing by? Want me to tell you why? They're the colors of the flag, blue and white, and the Gestapo keeps going by.
Yeah, I mean, you know, police, you know, policing. You know what I'm saying? That's the American experience for Black Americans, you know, is always, you know, contentious with the police department or, you know, law enforcement in general, you know what I'm saying?
And by. Here are the young guys who we might say are the counterparts of the garbage cans. Yeah, that's right. Their little baby black soul brother eating out of a garbage can. But listen what they've got to say. Dr. King, Whitney Young, Roy Wilkins, Reverend Henry Mitchell. Do you speak for them? Hell no.
And I'm just for violence. That's all. I'm tired of it.
Prayed too long.
I'm tired of it. We just beg and beg and beg. And he keeps saying no, 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 no. I'm tired of it.
The white man gave me everything now that he has deprived me of, my people of, for the past 400 years. I could still not forget the slavery that he has taken my people through for 310 years.
Then in other words, there's no compromise.
That's right. There has to be complete separation.
All right. Listen, man, this was a long time ago, man. And these same, you know, rhetorics, the same mentality, we still right here with it, you know. We still are feeling the same exact way. And it's crazy, you know, because this was a long time ago. And well, not that long ago as well. Like, and you know, we're still saying the same things, you know, complete separation. Feel me?
Is this a school or a meat factory? For a young man who wanted to learn about Black history was told to go back to Africa. White principal, white vice principal, white counselors, Black students, 1/4 of whom graduate. Gee, look at this beautiful Black woman I'm talking to. Yeah, she's a college grad, a statistician, brilliant, articulate, but oh, so revolutionary. Baseball diamonds are surely in the rough these days. Here they play while a dog dies in the alley.
Man, just poverty.
Rats eat cheese. They also eat babies. We say no more to the rats, and we say no more to you, white America. The die is cast. You shall pay for the past.
That's his neighborhood as he sees it. Mr. Meek, why do you suppose that it's actually been relatively cool in Chicago this summer? Is it because things are better in Chicago than other cities?
Well, first of all, the question of cool is relative, because what the white media and the white power structure means by cool means that on the surface they don't see anything. But there's revolutionary ferment in Chicago, perhaps more so than any other city.
Well, why hasn't it erupted, sir?
That's the question you might ask the white folks. See, because we don't go around advocating riots, we advocate revolution. And a revolution takes the form that's necessary for it to be victorious. You might ask Reverend Mitchell, because he has the vigilante force out there in our neighborhood, he says, patrolling the streets to keep the niggers quiet.
Listen, man, this is what it is. You know, a lot of Black Americans, we wasn't, you know what I mean, out here starting it. You know what I mean? We just wanted change. We wanted better for our community. We wanted to, you know what I mean, take things to the next level. And now, you know what I mean, you got a lot of the same stuff still going on. You feel me? And it's wild, you know, because we're trying to continue to grow as a people, but at every turn, there's always still going to be that contentiousness with, you know, them people.
Reverend Mitchell is here, and you did mention him in your film, too. I think we should right now go to Reverend Mitchell. You can stand, sir, if you'd like. It's easier, I think.
Yes. My name is Reverend Mitchell, president of the North Star United Missionary Workers of America on the Chicago West Side. The Bible says that every man be persuaded by his own opinion, but though let it be a good one. We realize and understand that there are problems amongst the Negro community more so than any other community. The aim of our organization is to sit down and study the problem and take the proper approach to try and solve the problem.
For those from out of town, sir, can you just quickly clarify what your committee does? Do you work in the same neighborhood that Mr. Meek lives in?
Yes,
the West Side?
West Side, national-wide. We own the entire state of Illinois.
Would you have a different program than, say, Mr. Meek does?
Well, our program is not hate.
It is not hate?
No, sir. Our program is to try to solve the problem with love.
Well, let me say something clearly, because horse and buggy techniques don't work in the jet age. And with Reverend Mitchell, when he says Christian love, it means Uncle Thomism.
I'm Helen Brandenburg. I'm a lay speaker for the Methodist Church. I have a daughter, and when she was 18, she represented the United States as a history.
Hold on, let's rewind that.
America on the Chicago West Side. The Bible says that every man be persuaded by his own opinion, but though let it be a good one. We realize and understand that there are problems amongst the Negro community more so than any other community. The aim of our organization is to sit down and study the problem and take the proper approach to try and solve the problem.
For those from out of town, sir, can you just quickly clarify what your committee does? Do you work in the same neighborhood that Mr. Meek lives in?
Yes,
the West Side?
West Side, national-wide. We own the entire state of Illinois.
Would you have a different program than, say, Mr. Meek does?
Well, our program is not hate.
It is not hate?
No, sir. Our program is to try to solve the problem with love.
Well, let me say something clearly, because horse and buggy techniques don't work in the jet age. And with Reverend Mitchell, when he says Christian love, it means Uncle Thomism.
Listen, you know, there was a big disconnect between those who were, you know, considered still the, you know, sit-in, nonviolent protest side of things. And then there was also the more revolutionary, you know what I'm saying, Fred Hampton way, where we're done taking it. And if there's ever smoke, we gonna bring the smoke before, you know, they can hit us. So, you know, there was definitely a lot of that going on, but I think at the end of the day, both can be true at the same time, because both wanted the same things, you know what I'm saying? And it was just a lot of passion on both sides, you feel me?
I'm Helen Brandenburg. I'm a lay speaker for the Methodist Church. I have a daughter, and when she was 18, she represented the United States as a history major. And she's been at Columbia University. And she met a young boy who is an all-A student at Columbia. He is a Negro boy. They are both 19 years old, and they have just been married. His mother is from White Plains, New York. His father is a doctor. Now, I have the most wonderful, I just think that the new world is going to be wonderful. These are 19-year-old boys and girls. They are married. They love each other. My daughter has been raised as a Methodist. For 20 years, I have served the Salvation Army at Camp Lake, Wisconsin. And there, my daughter has learned to be with little Negro children and love them. And I never thought anything about her marrying one. I have 5 children. I have a Methodist minister, and he has just is.
Now, you could peep the wording as even at this point, they were still calling us Negro. There was no such thing as African American, you feel me, at that time. There was even no identification to being African, right? It's just Negro, Black, You know what I'm saying? That was it. You feel me? That was what we were considered at that point. And so that's why it's very interesting, where now, there's everyone's, wants us to claim that lineage. But like I said, even, if you look far back, there's nothing to bring together.
28 years old. He's the youngest boy in the Rock River Conference, and he has just married a Chinese girl who is herself also a missionary.
So you believe in Christian love then, the same as the Reverend?
Well, this is what our children are doing today. This is a wonderful thing that we can look forward to. America, 19-year-old children who are students at Columbia, who have they have learned about religion from their parents, and yet this is what it has been interpreted to them, to love one another. They're going to grow up and raise children, and that's what America will be.
This boy back here?
Yeah.
Well, that looks like the boy that was in the film, I believe.
Yes, I'm one of them. My name is Reginald Dobbs. I live at 3319 Maple, one of the ghettos areas that was pointed out in the film. I'd like to direct a question to Reverend Mitchell. Do you think that we will be satisfied with the jobs they are giving us?
Yes, son, I think so. Simply because we are asking that you be trained on the job, and they start you off with a certain salary starting rates, and you would be promoted up to the maximum of the job.
No, I don't believe that. The white man is gonna keep you where he got you. You're not going no higher than he wants you to go. And we ain't gonna settle for nothing but all the way.
Now listen, this was early, so it hasn't changed. He was right. Okay, our ancestors was right. They knew what was going on. They knew what was gonna happen, and I really do understand, like, more so as you get older. And like I said, once you're studying that history, you're locked in on the history part. That's why, I wanted to bring this to the table so we can all just kind of watch some history, get into a few things and just kind of kick it. You feel me? Holidays, all that good stuff. But yeah, it's very interesting in my opinion, just to see like how these things have kind of really divvied up, you know what I'm saying? And where we're at, just as far as like when you look at, okay, so there's a still conversation about, the Black community and how we are building jobs and all these other things. But at the end of the day, like, we're still asking for the same things that we, wanted today. And it's still happening. You know what I mean? It's crazy because, you try to, I don't know, I always try to bring the receipts, you feel me? And we always make sure that we do. But it's very clear, just how when you do bring the receipts, you realize like, damn, like we was really fighting for a long time, like, and still have so much further to go. Like, there's no real stopping to that. Like, it's just, we're always going to keep striving for the best and to take things to the next level and making our entire lives, you know what I'm saying, being a testament to us fighting for what we want and what we believe in. You feel me? And it's I don't know, it's beautiful, man. I mean, the spirit of Black Americans cannot ever be understated. We on that type of time. Like, we always gonna strive for the best and the greatest, as we move on and grow in our consciousness. It's beautiful. Let me get this back up. Here we go.
And about this violence and non-violence, I'm for violence. Because we have pleaded for the last 400 years.
What would you say to a boy like that? Because this happens to be, coincidentally, the young man in the group that Mr. Meek said you did not speak for him. How would you talk to a young boy like that?
Well, I would say I would definitely have to use the Bible, Mr. Duncan.
No, I don't want to hear it.
Well, this is my own way.
I ain't no Uncle Tom.
Well,
see,
salvation.
Now, this was definitely at this time, like, where there was a shift happening, and a lot of the religious leaders, they saw and felt that they weren't doing what Black Americans needed them to do. And this is when a lot of that faction of these, Al Sharptons and those people of the world were really starting to come into prominence and being used by, the FBI and CIA, you know what I mean, to infiltrate into, the Black consciousness. And so there were a lot of these young brothers who felt exactly the same way when they would see, these figures and pastors and reverends, coming up there talking that rhetoric.
You can't brainwash me.
Jesus said, first ye seek the kingdom of heaven and its righteousness, and all of these things will be added unto you.
Heaven is on earth, mind you, brother.
Yeah. Let me see.
You have anything more? How about the other lab?
Where you gonna go when we start revolution? Whose side are you gonna be on? Are you still gonna be on your knees begging for us jobs?
I will, as Mr. Meek said, he wouldn't just die standing on his feet rather than to die on his knees. I will die standing up for God, regardless of any circumstance.
Okay.
And that's what I mean. So there was a big disconnect at this point in the, the consciousness of what some Black Americans wanted for us in our future, and as well the religious ideology of Christianity that that we still do follow today. You know what I'm saying?
Have God ever told you to let this white man rule you like he is?
Well, young man, you first must be born again. God is a spirit.
No, I ain't born again. I ain't got to be born again. See, I was born in a new generation. Your mother could have brainwashed you, but can't nobody brainwash me. I'm ready. It's gonna take young boys like us to win the revolution.
The white peoples realized today that they was wrong for enslaving the Negro. The great mass. May I finish? I'll wait. Why, if you so militant and so intelligent, why don't you keep your mouth shut?
I'll tell you why, Reverend Mitchell, because I'm sick and tired of you standing up there on a television camera, a black man with a white heart and a white face. You're a
Woo. Now this is Tyler said, could this show ever run on television today? And it's possible, but it would take a lot of, it would take the right people, you know what I'm saying? Because it can't just be anybody's. It can't just be nobody's going up there to argue, right? It would have to take some people with really good understanding, restraint, and, consciousness level to be able to say exactly what they feel without things getting too hectic,
black Anglo-Saxon, you're a disgrace to the race to stand up about a white man loving you. Ask Medgar Evers' wife. Ask the parents of the 3 civil rights workers in Mississippi. Ask Jimmy Lee Jackson's mother. Understand? Ask Grace Louise of 5 children who was shot in the head because he's riding with a black boy in the car. You stand there and talk like an unmitigated fool.
I thought you were more intelligent.
I'm intelligent enough that I don't want to listen to your dribble.
May I finish, young man question? Son, I'm sure that the great mass of the white people realizes that they was wrong for enslaving the Negro.
Let's get this lady back here.
My name is Jean Williams, and I'm a civil rights lawyer. What has kept Chicago from erupting has been the open suppression and Gestapo-like tactics that the Chicago policemen have initiated in the black neighborhoods.
Listen, this has been happening, like I said, for a long time, and everybody talks about Black Americans complaining and ICE. What's going on with ICE right now, and this has been happening to Black Americans for a minute. You hear how she described the police department? Listen to this.
What has kept Chicago from erupting has been the open suppression and Gestapo-like tactics that the Chicago policemen have initiated in the black neighborhoods. Wherever there are 5 or more Negroes congregated, they move in, they break up those groups. I know what I'm talking about. They break up those groups and they shuttle everybody off to jail.
Now look, this has been happening, okay? And that's why it's like when people talk about Black Americans and us, when we see an ICE and everybody that's been happening to us for a minute. We know what that's like. And to be targeted, you feel me? Having people riding on us, coming out of nowhere. We've been dealing with that since slavery. You feel me? These factions of these slave catchers that they would send out there for the slaves that would actually try to escape captivity and run away from the plantation. You feel me? They would use all these people to try to catch Harriet Tubman when she was taking them, getting them to freedom. So for us, when we're looking at, you know, the overall like history of this, that's why I love to, you know, bring up these videos. And that's why I love to make sure that I bring these videos to the forefront, because we need to make sure that we're staying locked in on what the history tells us. You know what I'm saying? I love these type of videos, you know, this archive style videos that where these, you know, really, you know, interesting conversations that were happening back then that we do not need to forget about. You know, we need to keep these alive, and I'm going to use my platform to bring them to the table as much as possible, you know, even if it's just me on this stream right now, you know, kicking it with y'all. I don't care.
Later, there are going to be enough families deprived of their breadwinners and their loved ones that Chicago isn't going to be cool, regardless of how much praying Reverend Mitchell does.
We have a Chicago police official here, Chicago police commander, to respond to the charge about repression in Chicago this summer. Is there an official in the Chicago Police Department who could answer that?
There are officials.
You're not to give comments here. I see. Well, let him make his one statement. That's all right. All right, go ahead, son.
As I was going back to see, he pointed out for me that I could go back when I want to. Go back to where? Huh?
Because you weren't free. You can go any place you like.
Go anywhere
Sir,
you
could
want.
you stand up? We can't hear you. Could you stand up over there by the microphone?
You mean to Africa? Do you mean to Africa? Do you mean to Africa? We are not Africans no more. You have raped our great grandmothers and stuff and changed us.
Excuse me.
We are not. Okay, let me finish. And gave us a name as a Negro. I am not a Negro. A Negro is a person with a slave at the man. I just want to tell you that. And don't say nothing else to me.
Sir, by the microphone.
You mean,
listen to that.
You mean to Africa? Do you mean to Africa? Do you mean to Africa? We are not Africans no more. You have
all right. Listen, this is what I be talking about. There's no connection after what happened to us. The mixing of our blood with the colonizers' blood and the slave owners' blood and the Native American blood, okay? That created our own ethnogenesis that created us today as Black Americans, all right? There is no connection to Africa at all right? Based on what he just said. Listen to this, guys.
Well, let him make his one statement. That's all right. Fine. Go ahead, son.
As I was going back to see, he pointed out for me that I could go back when I want to. Go back to where? Huh?
Because you weren't free. You can go any place you like.
Go anywhere
Sir,
you
could
want.
you stand up? We can't hear you. Could you stand up over there by the microphone?
You mean to Africa? Do you mean to Africa? Do you mean to Africa? We are not Africans no more. You have raped our great grandmothers and stuff and changed us.
Excuse me.
We are not. Okay, let me finish. And gave us a name as a Negro. I am not a Negro. A Negro is a person with a slave at the man. I just want to tell you that. And don't say nothing else to me.
Sir, did you want to say something, miss? Okay, this lady back here, please.
I would like to direct my mind.
You're not.
All right. That's the statement. I mean, what else can you say to that? That's exactly who we are. Ethnogenesis was created that. And so that's why a lot of us, especially as Black Americans, we make it clear that we are not African because we don't have any connection. And exactly what this young brother said. Listen again.
Back to see, he pointed out for me that I could go back when I want to. Go back to where? Huh?
Because you weren't free. You can go any place you like.
Go anywhere
Sir,
you
could you
want.
stand up? We can't hear you. Could you stand up over there by the microphone?
You mean to Africa? Do you mean to Africa? Do you mean to Africa? We are not Africans no more. You have raped our great grandmothers and stuff and changed us.
Excuse me.
We are not. Okay, let me finish. And gave us a name as a Negro. I am not a Negro. A Negro is a person with a slave at the man. I just want to tell you that. And don't say nothing else to me.
Sir.
The energy, okay? That's the difference between us and everyone else, okay? we can look them straight in their face and tell them what it is. All right. We've always had this energy towards them. A lot of these other groups, they want to bootleg, they want to get on their knees, they want to kowtow around these people and try their best to make them feel comfortable and all this other crap. But Black Americans, we always hold them accountable. We always make sure that we keep our foot on their neck and remind them that they ain't finna get away with what's going on. All right. So it's crazy, man. Like, just, you know, what we come with, the energy that we bring every single time.
Did you want to say something, miss? Okay, this lady back here, please.
I would like to direct one of my...
Your name, please.
Mrs. Fiedler of the East Avondale Community Council, a branch of LSNA. Mr. Meek, I recognized much of your film. Is this the 3100 block of Maple?
33 and 32.
Fine, 32 was where I was raised. Looks quite familiar as it did when I lived there. Marshall School still looks the same also. And there was more than 75% colored when I went there. You know, we got along great. Some of, all of us got along together very well. I recall very few colored and whites fighting. We were friends. When there was any arguments or fights, as there usually is, as you call it, the ghetto, we seemed to stick together. The colored stuck up for the white, and the white stuck up for the colored.
Well, they couldn't have a time like I have. They have to be all the time.
Well, what is your point,
No,
ma'am? Do you feel that the...
I arose
Yes.
from this neighborhood. I lived in the slums. I'm not ashamed of it. You know, nobody helped me get where I'm at. I scrub floors. I scrub floors. It doesn't make any difference. The friends that I graduated with have jobs and homes just as I have now. And they were colored. And they had a chance. They sat right next to me in class. The teacher listened to them just like she listened to me.
And this is kind of the gaslighting that, you know, a lot of Black Americans talk about, where it's, you know, those who talk about they grew up with us and, you know, I work just as hard as you guys work, not, you know, acknowledging that, you know, their white privilege always applies and there's always a piece that part you cannot ignore, right? So let's listen to her again when she got up here after the young brother, okay? Listen.
I would like to direct one of my...
Your name, please.
Mrs. Fiedler of the East Avondale Community Council, a branch of LSNA. Mr. Meek, I recognized much of your film. Is this the 3100 block of Maple?
33 and 32.
Fine, 32 was where I was raised. Looks quite familiar as it did when I lived there. Marshall School still looks the same also. And there was more than 75% colored when I went.
So that's what I mean. Like, you know, the gaslighting. I grew up there, you know, when I was there, it was still colored, you know, that mentality is, I think, a lot of what people as well resonate towards when they look at, you know, sometimes the liberal mindset, you know, the liberal white woman, I'm just like y'all, I grew up with y'all, but your experience in life is completely different, especially here in America where, you know, white women are held at the highest regard.
You know, we got along great. Some of, all of us got along together very well. I recall very few colored and whites fighting. We were friends. When there was any arguments or fights, as there usually is, as you call it, the ghetto, we seemed to stick together. The colored stuck up for the white, and the white stuck up for the colored.
Well, they couldn't have a time like I have. They have to be all the time.
Well, what is your point,
No,
ma'am? Do you feel that the...
I arose
Yes.
from this neighborhood. I lived in the slums. I'm not ashamed of it. You know, nobody helped me get where I'm at. I scrub floors.
You hear in the back somebody say, "You're white."
I scrub floors. It doesn't make any difference. The friends that I graduated with have jobs and homes just as I have now. And they were colored. And they had a chance. They sat right next to me in class. The teacher listened to them just like she listened to me. And it was that same house that you showed me on that film. So then I am as the same as these boys here. Because I seen little white kids as well as colored kids together digging out of garbage cans, not separately.
So, like I said, this was the mentality a lot of times where you saw, a lot of, white Americans who, were, ashamed about us bringing up the true history of their people. And so the combat that, they would always talk about them being in poverty as well, right? Not understanding that, yes, the majority of white people are still in poverty, right? Just as much as black folks are too, But at the end of the day, there was a totally different experience that white Americans who go through poverty have that black Americans go through who are in poverty. And the fact that, they can't acknowledge that part is, it's just part of the course. We know how they get down. You know what I'm saying?
Together,
I don't understand what you're talking
we
about.
walked Madison Street. We tripped over probably the same drunks in front of Rothschilds that are still there now. So what about me? Am I a poor white person? God help me, give me mercy. I want white power then.
I'm sure you do. And you should have it, baby. You got it.
See, and so that's the component is the reverse psychology can't work because you already have white power, right? If you were to lean into your, maybe your privilege, you know what I'm saying? You wouldn't be saying as much, but that's the point is it just exposes the hypocrisy immediately when you say that because the white power structure is 100% already there to benefit you as a white woman, especially during this time, right? In the 60s and 70s, this was the height of those vibes, you know what I'm saying? Those vibes is crazy.
Broadway, what about Wall Street? What about Wilson Avenue?
Well, you want to let me address myself too?
White people are.
What about them? They got their own problems, lady, and I think that the white people should have white power. I'm talking about black. You see, talking to you is an exercise in futility. Let's get this clear. I'm not talking about white people. Man, you solve your problems. You use force or violence, whatever necessary, and I don't blame you. And if I had the thing you had, I wouldn't want to give it up either.
Do we come and march and you say, look at our poor people, look at our hungry
babies?
No,
you don't have to come because we can't solve your problem. You have to solve your own, and we want to solve our own.
That part, you know what I'm saying? White folks, y'all already have your own power structures and things that you guys need to, go after and handle. It has nothing to do Black Americans. We have to go and address that, man, ourselves. You feel me? We can't do it for y'all.
By violence?
Who said anything about violence? Everybody here is talking about violence, but
he said he believes in violence. I want to know why. Doesn't he have a right to? They're
going to take him in a few years and teach him to kill with the best weapons available.
They taught my brother to kill too.
Okay, so let's ask the United States government about violence, baby. They live on it. They thrive on it. They're enmeshed in it. This is the most violent society in the world that you run, baby. Why?
This was it, man. These were the conversations that was going on. And like I said, I respect, these times where we could really have a real dialogue with the white power structure directly. You feel me? It didn't have to be people getting in their feelings about it. It would just be a straight up conversation. Hey, yo, this is how I feel. This is what I got to say. And either you messing with it or you not. And like I said, right there to your face.
Hung black men up by their heads and cut their bodies to pieces. You burn women to death. Yes, I got the pictures on my wall. I was tied to a tree by the clan that had a knife run through my body.
You never seen white people killed though.
White people, I'm not worried about them.
Avenue and Ketty and I watched them die in front of me.
That's tough.
As a kid.
That's tough. That's tough. But we're talking about black power, black society.
That's all we hear.
Divorce from white society. You were here at a town meeting. Go home if you don't want to hear, baby. Go home.
You don't want to hear.
Because we don't need you.
You don't want to hear. Why don't you go?
No.
I'll let the lady speak.
This was peak, right? This was peak times where people could have these conversations. The racial tension couldn't have been higher. There was so much at stake. There was a lot of change that was happening at this time. And so, yeah, the back and forth was serious. And I really do, like I said, I think we need to get back to these type of conversations for, not only Black Americans, but Black Americans and everybody else, because it's a lot that needs to be talked about amongst, these groups and different people, Americans, Black Americans, immigrants, like white Americans. It all needs to go down.
Mr. Meek is a little louder in his voice. I think this is a very interesting point, and I'm you know, it's an amazing coincidence that you did live in that immediate area because we had no idea that was going to be the.
Exactly. That street.
You still live in the area?
No, I don't.
And you're.
It looked just like that when I did, though.
Sure.
And Beidler School. Do you know Beidler School there,
Yeah, I
Mr.
know
Meek?
Beidler.
You could move
Do you know
wherever
the
you want.
old school?
Yeah, I
The
know.
old one with the wooden floors.
Yeah.
I walked on them. There's a new
Well,
school
you want a
there now,
medal?
isn't there?
You want a medal
I
something,
didn't get
baby?
no new schools, but
You want a
I'm
medal?
not complaining.
Give it a CMH.
Let's
She's for a white person.
Hold it, Mr. Meek.
You're the one that's crying the loudest.
Who's
I'm
crying,
chiming
baby? I'm
in
not
with
crying.
it. I'm
Do
chiming
you know the
in.
difference between defiance and a cry? You're talking to a black man, baby. I don't cry to white
I
folks.
talk to them all
I'm
my
talking to my
life.
people, not even to
I
you.
talk to them all
Hold
my
it, Mr.
life.
Meek.
So you're singing the
Hold it,
blues.
But you're
hold it.
blaming us. We got a right to
Blaming
stand
you?
up and offend ourselves.
Defend yourself. I glory in your spot, baby.
Hold it, Mr. Meek.
Now, this was the conversation, right? Because a lot of times white people always feel the defensive stance, right? The defensive stature when history is brought up to the table, right? These were the atrocities. This is what's going on in our neighborhood. This is how our neighborhoods look. This is what, you know, the police are doing to us, and they can't take it. So it's, hey, I grew up in that same neighborhood, but I don't live there anymore, and blah, 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 blah. And it's just a different experience, right? Because at this point, this was actually one of the first times where there was actually people going to these impoverished neighborhoods and seeing how Black Americans were living at that time, right? And so once it started to kind of get out, and then you have brothers like this who were very pro-Black, very, you know, outspoken about what the, you know, inequalities were and how, you know, bad the situation was. They hated that, and it infuriated them, even if they came from the same neighborhoods like this lady here.
There ain't no blood on mine.
All right, ma'am.
You got the pictures. I have it.
Hold it,
Yeah,
folks.
No,
Cautious
I'm
is
not
bothering
guilty of
Ma'am, I'd
nothing.
like to let you say this very succinctly.
Are we wrong because we're white?
Yeah,
Are we wrong?
yeah.
Well, then maybe the shoe's on the other foot now.
Well, your men seem to like our women so much we get a little confused.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
All right, we're going.
Yeah.
I will in a second, but I just want to clarify this. Your point simply is this, ma'am. You believe that when you lived in the neighborhood where Mr. Meek
Yes.
does, there were 75% Negro then, and you say that the friends that you went to school with, as well as yourself, worked their way out of the ghetto.
That's right.
And you believe that anybody can do it if they want to?
That's right. That's ridiculous.
Let's let this gentleman.
Now look, this is the conversation that even still is happening today. Isn't that crazy that all the way back in this time, we're still having the same conversations about pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, and did you live in the hood and you can get out of the hood, you can work your way out of it, it's the American way, right? Meanwhile, we now have seen probably one of the worst job markets in the last 10 to 20 years right now. So many people can't even get a job, right? And you still have people going out here telling people to work harder. It's like, when are we going to wake up, man, that the system is broken? If even back then, at this time, they were still talking that same stuff. Listen to this.
Come back here. Here's a. Let's.
Mrs. Williams, Miss Williams,
All right,
I think
we have one
white
man
people
here.
have to talk to white people and tell them why they're wrong.
Here's a white
I
man.
think
Let's let him
like
say
white
this.
people have to tell some ignorant white people that they should start listening to Russell Meek and Gene Williams and Dick Gregory and Bob Lucas. And I'd like to ask this woman if she honestly believes there isn't segregation in Chicago, and if she's been to the schools. I teach in the West Side. My name's Richard Kelly. I teach an upper grade center in the West Side. And I next year, conditions are worse than last year. I have 30.
Listen, man, this was what it was, right? There was that, like I said, a mentality of people who willingly ignored the difference in what was going on in Black American neighborhoods, how there were no resources given to Black neighborhoods, how they were actually crippling the school systems, right? Kids were going hungry. All this was going on in the Black American community during this time. And that's why organizations like the Black Panthers created the meal program, right? The breakfast meal program was created because there were kids in the Black American community going hungry every day because the situation was just so bad, right? A lot of Black American men who were coming back from Vietnam couldn't even get a job, right? They went out there and fought for their country, did what they were supposed to, paid their dues to society, and then they come back and they can't even get a job. All right. So that puts them in a very dire financial situation where a lot of these people couldn't even move out of the hood. And he just had one of the hardest, most traumatic times to go in war. It's just like there was so much going on at that time, man.
In the class where I had 35, we have a white principal, white assistant principal. The Negroes that teach our school are afraid to open their mouth because they're afraid that they're going to lose their job, their times. There's a lot of segregation, not only in house. You can go in the different neighborhoods. Ma'am, I don't see how you can sit here and dare to talk to us. Me can say there isn't segregation in Chicago.
The whole thing comes down.
Identify yourself, please.
Elmer Lazar, Chicago, Illinois. The whole thing.
Are you with an association? An organization?
No, just individual.
Right. Go ahead.
The whole thing here comes down to education, rather lack of education. Now, to prove this to you, I was an employment manager of a firm that employed dozens of Negroes.
All right, so look, this is where it is. Like, there was a lot of this going on.
5, 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. And we were looking for a truck driver several times, not just once, dozens of times. We used to interview colored fellows that come in, from 18 to 30, any age. And out of 25 colored fellows that came in to apply for the job, only 3 or 4 could talk, could read and write English. 3 or 4. Now, these were newly come Southerners from the South, see. And only out of 25 fellows that we interviewed, only 3 or 4 could read and write. Back in 1950, 1952, 53.
Now, mind you, this was a big part of what was going on at that time, right? Education was the barrier that white supremacy could use to continue to keep Black Americans where they wanted them, right? And so a lot of these people, like he said, that were coming up from the South, going from the South up to Chicago, because everybody knew that that was just a place where Black Americans could go. There was already a thriving economy for them. And as well, like the other, man mentioned, it was already segregated. So there was a space that Black American men could go up, get a job, work with family, stay with family, and then, maybe they could, parlay that into somewhere to stay permanently, right? But what he's saying is like a lot of them would come up from the South and they didn't know how to read and write. And that's just what it was, because a lot of them were coming straight off of the plantation. People really think that just when slavery stopped, right, when it was abolished, that's when it ended, but that's just not true. You feel me? There were still people who were sharecroppers. There are still people who are living on those plantations who are technically not slaves, but still slaves. You know what I'm saying? And so now, you know what I mean? It's always, like I said, it's always interesting to go back and do the research of the history part, because this was definitely one of those covert ways that they were able to use and control and also disenfranchise the Black American communities, because they would always have that paywall or some extra hoops and everything else for them to do. Meanwhile, their white counterparts, who also could not read or write, were given the same jobs. All right. So let's not go, beyond what we're thinking. Reading and writing was not only just a problem in the Black community, it was also a problem in the white community, because a lot of white people could not read or write. Okay, that's why a lot of Black Americans as well got lynched, because they learned how to read, because a lot of these white Americans didn't, and they were jealous of that. Okay, the intelligence level, right? This is all part of, the history that you don't learn in school. Okay, which is hilarious. You know what I'm saying?
54, 55.
So your point is,
what can you do with the people that they sent from the South that can't read and write? What can you do with the people that have no education? Well, we have to educate.
Did you hear from the crowd? They said the same thing you could do with white people who can't. And ain't that the truth? And that's just the truth, right? Because like I said, Black Americans at this time, we were fighting for every little inch, and a lot of people knew that, right? It wasn't just Black Americans who didn't know how to read or write, okay? And that's why it kind of sometimes it's it's a little sad for me, you know what I mean, to hear just kind of where we're at right now in society, where there's kids and, you know, our the Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas who don't know how to read or write, because I feel like that's a part of the social construct, right? Is, you know, they're going to continue to dumb us down, and it will always be something that we need to know in a book. And it's going to be unfortunate because the next generation, they're not picking up on that. You know, their literacy is down, their vocabulary is down, they're down on all metrics when it comes to the reading and writing and literacy aspect of, you know, the human brain and human development. And it's very sad because a lot of us as Black Americans, we fought really hard to have those rights, to be able to read, to be able to write, to be able to have the access to education, the access to higher education, right? And just to see that, you know, a lot of, you know, the young people aren't really taking to it these days is really scary, you know, because they're gonna need to know how to read and write coming up here soon, you know, because I'm just in one of those, you know, beliefs that eventually, you know, we're going to reach a day where all this is going to shut down. I don't know what day it may be, but there's going to be a day when the internet stop working and all this, you know, technology start working. And we're going to have to figure out how we start back from scratch again, where we're going to have to entertain ourselves. And, you know, there may not be, you know, television and stuff for us to watch. So we're going to have to read books and, you know, create our own ways of, you know, entertaining ourselves, you know, but that's just my like crazy conspiracy theorist mind. But I think, yeah, like it's just, we need to get back to basics in general, because I can definitely see how now we have such a mentality among the youth where they really, really have bought into not challenging themselves mentally, not doing critical thinking, right? Not allowing themselves to be open to being uncomfortable, right? That was like one of my main things when I was younger, you know, was like, I wanted to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And I'd always try my best to put myself in the most challenging scenario that I could. So just to see what I was made of, to see if I would be able to grow from it, if I'd be able to adapt, if I'd be able to survive, right? And most times I always, you know, came out on the better side of it. Clearly there are times where you miscalculate and you fail, but you don't fail when you try, right? That's a part of life, right? Is when you take those risks, it's not a risk if you're doing it for an experience to learn. And a lot of these kids, man, they're scared to take risks because they're so scared of what everyone else will think. I've never been in such a generation where people care so much about what others think and, you know, going out and chasing a life that they only get once, right? We all only get one life. And it's sad to see, you know, people in general, not just, you know, race involved, but just in general, how many people have just kind of given up on trying, man. You feel me? Like granted, I'm not perfect at all by any means, right? But like, I try, you feel me? That anytime I try to do something or I want to do something, I set my mind to it and I put it out there. You know, the worst thing that could happen is somebody could tell you no. The worst thing that could happen is that, you know, you don't reach your result, but at least you tried. You know what I'm saying? You know that, hey man, I can do it if I want to. And a lot of kids, man, they'll never know what that feels like to go out there and do something that there is no guarantee, but you love it so much you're willing to take the risk. You know, I've got to do some great things in my life and travel the world, you know, on dreams that I thought, you know, that were only inside of my head. You know what I'm saying? Crazy ideas that I thought would never come to fruition. I got to experience that. And so I think when I look back at the ancestors and everything that they've done for us and how much they sacrificed for us, I felt a certain level of responsibility to go out here and chase my dreams and go out here and be the best version of myself and representative of my family and what, you know, what they sacrificed for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, I kind of ran out there. I did a little rant, but you feel me? It's just, yeah, it's deep, man. It's very deep. You feel me? When I really want to, just think about life and stuff, I'm like that sometimes, Of course, I get on here and we have great topics and stuff, but I'm gonna start, at least the goal for 2026 is to start, producing more content where I can rant and give, kind of just my life theories and experiences and things that I've gone through and kind of putting it out there for y'all to enjoy,
That should not be allowed to send these colored people up here. Rather, they should educate them. They should educate them. See? That's the point.
How about this gentleman in the front row? Would you identify yourself, sir?
I'm Reverend Emmett G. Davis, the Executive Director of the North Suburban Organization for Fair Housing. There are a couple of points that I want to speak to, particularly to get back to originally the way we started out.
Yes.
We're caught now in this trap between whether we're going to follow Dr. Martin Luther King with a nonviolent approach, or whether we're going to follow my friend Russ Meeks here with a violent approach. We're at a loss to know.
And that's where it was. There was a huge shift. It was a line, right, where a lot of people were in the ideology of Martin Luther King, where it was the nonviolent approach, sit-ins and marching. And then there was also the Malcolm X approach, where it was, we're going to take up arms. Fred Hampton approach, where it was, we're going to arm ourselves and protect our community. We're going to police our own community. We're going to feed our own community. And we're going to use a certain ideology that goes against the white supremacist ideology, white nationalist ideology. And we're willing to fight and die for that. You know what I'm saying? And so there was, a clear divide right in between that mentality for Black Americans at this time, and a lot of the church, right, the people who were a part of the church organizations were more so with Dr. King, and then a lot of the people who were with the Nation of Islam and then NOI and also the Black Panthers were on the Malcolm X side of things, you know what I'm saying? The Fred Hampton side of things. So it was definitely, one of those times where a lot of people were trying to decide which way to go. But I think right before, Dr. King's assassination, like I did on this channel, he was talking about reparations. And that, I think, was one thing that they all agreed on. You know what I'm saying? I think both sides agreed upon reparations. And once they all started to come together on one accord, that's when they went ahead and assassinated Dr. King, because they knew that once they started coming for a check and once they started organizing to come for a check, that was when they got too hot for them and they had to take out Dr. King. And unfortunately, that destabilized a lot of the movement. And then, of course, with Malcolm X as well being taken out, it just totally, then Fred Hampton, we can keep going. But it was really, really crazy how all those guys collectively as Black American leaders all agreed that reparations was owed to us, and all of them were taken out. That's just crazy.
What to do? We tried Dr. King. We're afraid to try Meeks.
Are you afraid to try Meeks? You're afraid to try Meeks?
Some of the people on the North Shore are afraid. They've gotten a little sophistication because they've been able to move to the North Shore.
Are these Negroes you're talking about?
Negroes, yes.
Middle-class Negroes.
They've been calling the police department in Evanston, hoping there's not going to be a riot in Evanston. They are afraid, too. Now, how do you reach these kind of people?
Well, you feel
I wish Mr. Meeks could tell us this.
The middle-class Negroes.
The middle-class Negroes who have become complacent, who fear the revolutionary lower to lower economic class Negroes.
Now listen, this is what they call the boule, right? The boule would be what this would be considered today, right? And that's what we see a lot of, is there is still a faction of Black American people who don't want any trouble, right? They just want to be able to make their money, not be, a part of anything that ruffles the feathers of white supremacy, because they're behind a paywall where they have a good job and a good cushy house and they're all right. They're living in the neighborhood around other white folks. So they feel very comfortable in that. And there's a lot of Black people who are living good. You know what I'm saying? And that's just real. It's the truth, right? I know a lot of them, right? Coming from a background working in corporate America, you meet a lot of very upstanding, very, very rich Black folks, okay? And so being a part of that community and being around those people, you understand that a lot of people have to tap dance in order to keep their positions. Okay, they have to play the game. They have to code switch. They have to do whatever it takes to make sure that they're keeping that salary so that they can keep that penthouse, so that they can drive that G-Wagon. Okay? That's just what it is. And it's unfortunate, right? Because a lot of people don't take the risk to start their own business, right? They don't want that life. Some people want to have a steady, a very, my life is very comfortable. I don't have to do much. I'm going to be all right. They love to live that way. And there's nothing wrong with that. But for Black Americans who want more for us and who want to change things, yes, the risk is going to come with a lot of sacrifice. You feel me? And that, I think, is what he's speaking to. How do those people bridge that gap in between the ones who are good and they don't want any trouble, between the ones who want to make change and, flip the system on its head? That's where we still till this day have that problem, you know what I'm saying, in the community. And that ain't just in the Black community. That's in a lot of communities, right? A lot of communities have people who have sold their souls, right, and do not care about the betterment of anybody else in their communities. And so it's unfortunate because those are the ones who could be a real impact and help the movement grow, but they won't do that. And that's unfortunate, you know what I'm saying? Because this is just the world we live in, man. We live in a world where everybody looks out for themselves. We lost a lot of the community. A lot of people who were supposed to be a part of the community, we lost a lot of that, man. A lot of the community base, you feel me? Make sure you guys like and subscribe if you fucking with your boy, man. We late night. We doing what we can, man. I'm just ranting. But yeah, this is just, this is what it was. Like, it's time, like they're talking about, the divide between the revolutionaries and the people who were making good money, the middle class. They were living in great neighborhoods in Chicago. So they didn't want no smoke, right? They wanted to be able to keep making their little money. And I think nowadays we're starting to see, especially with the government shutdown and how many Black American women have been laid off during this time. You know what I'm saying? And just the total reflip of what's happened right now in corporate America, man. I have a lot of friends who are out of work and looking for work, and they were making great money, and now things are different. You feel me? And that is by design. You know what I'm saying? We're starting to see more of that. I just dropped a live stream earlier about, people getting sued out here because there's, grocery stores who are purposely not hiring people who are non-Hispanic. You feel me? Just all types of really scary stuff. You feel me? That's going on right now. And a lot of people are struggling. A lot of people aren't doing well. And, I can see why people would be upset, right, about what's happening in the world and why they want change. You feel me? But it ain't gonna be easy, that's for sure, because like I said, there's still these are conversations that were still going on, and this was in the 60s.
Well, Mr. Meek, you want to respond to that?
Yeah, I'd like to respond because I think that you sound like a reverend. Thank goodness there's some people like you left. I might even come to your church one day and see what you have to say. Man, what a breath of fresh air. I want to say this because, see, first of all, there's a mistaken notion. The Watts study, which they just bought out, proved that the middle class Black man is much more violent than the so-called lower strata.
Well, that differs from what he was saying.
Well, you see, when you talk about people in North Shore, see, here's the point, I'm talking to Black folk now, that no matter what happens, the dialectics of the situation are going to make you either get off the fence or crawl in a hole in the ground.
And so that's what he's talking about. He's saying if the revolution happens, it ain't going to be no which side you choose, because you're either going to be on the side or you're going to go hide because it's going to be going down. And that's how I feel, man. I feel like we all talk about, what will happen if the revolution happens? What would, this or that? But it's like, we going to find out. That's just how it works. When it's wartime, either you're going to see somebody fight or you're going to see the flight. Fight or flight is a real response. And a lot of people, we've all gone through those tests, right? Those equivalency tests that you can, test out and see what equivalency, what percentile you're in. Are you the protector or are you a person who's going to fly? You feel me? Are you the person who's gonna go and seek cover? Right? That's just a part of it. You know what I'm saying? And so it's either in you or it's not. It's a very natural response. You know, naturally, men, we're supposed to be the protectors, right? But there's also levels to that. You know what I'm saying? And so it's one of those things where, yeah, like we'll try to get through to the people who don't really understand the revolution. But if it happens, it ain't gonna be no what side are you on. It's just like, hey man, either you're gonna fight or you're gonna go hide because it's gonna be going down. You know what I'm saying?
It is the ability to take your own resources and develop a culture, a society, a community of our own, the way we want it, free from white interference. And we give you the same privilege. We're not interested in interracial housing. We don't want your neighborhood. We want ours to be just as good. See, we don't want a store in your neighborhood. We don't want you coming in our neighborhood and open up stores and exploiting us and then go home and throw a bomb if we move next door out in the suburbs.
Okay. This is, like I said, this is what Black Americans have been talking about for a very long time. And that's why I always laugh, because these conversations that you see people talking reckless on the internet, and I just always have to go back to the history. Like y'all so late. Like y'all so late, because these conversations have been happening. These talking points are from our ancestors. Okay? So if you've done your history, you will understand that this has been a problem for a very long time. This isn't something that Black Americans just one day came up with and got tired of what was going on in our neighborhoods and our communities. No. We got tired of looking around and saying, what the hell? How are we living here, but we can't afford none of the stores? How are we living here and we can't afford none of the restaurants? How are we living here and we can't even afford any of the homes? They can't even own anything in our community. But everybody around us is getting grants. They're getting free money to open up businesses. They're getting business loans. They're getting influx and investment money just for being immigrants. Yeah, Black Americans got tired of being looked over and skimmed over. All right, listen to this. We're gonna bring it back.
That no matter what happens, the dialectics of the situation are going to make you either get off the fence or crawl in a hole in the ground. It is the ability to take your own resources and develop a culture, a society, a community of our own, the way we want it, free from white interference. And we give you the same privilege. We're not interested in interracial housing. We don't want your neighborhood. We want ours to be just as good. See, we don't want a store in your neighborhood. We don't want you coming in our neighborhood and open up stores and exploiting us and then go home and throw a bomb if we move next door out in the suburbs. We don't want your schools, but we want our schools to be the highest and the best possible for our Black progeny. See, what's people?
And that's what it is, man. It's never about y'all. It's about what we want for ourselves and the things that we can see for ourselves, man. Imagine if we had Black tech schools, right? A polytech for Black Americans, where we're teaching kids engineering, math, technology. Okay? Imagine if we had that level of just resources to be able to cultivate these type of skills in our Black boys and girls. You feel me? If we had all these really great resources to be able to show the kids about science, right? Going out to the ocean and marine biology, right? Even teaching them how to fish and hunt. Imagine if we had these resources that we could bring to the table for the youth, the Black American youth. That's all they was talking about. Because when we looked at it, our schools was terrible. Our living situation was dire. So a lot of people living in survival mode, it's hard to grow out of that. And sure, we did, no doubt about it, against all odds. But all I'm saying is if we had that foundation, right? If we had what was owed to us, could you imagine what we have, the more things that we would have accomplished? Because we've already accomplished so much, but can you just imagine how much more we would have accomplished? Like, listen to this.
It is the ability to take your own resources and develop a culture, a society, a community of our own, the way we want it, free from white interference. And we give you the same privilege. We're not interested in interracial housing.
Free from white interference. That might have went over some of y'all heads. But that part is integral as well to us creating our own society, and our successful society is the white interference. Leave us the hell alone and let us cook. If you could just give us our own space to do our thing for a good amount of time without no white interference, that's a key component of this here, is the no white interference. Please keep that off of us. Maybe then we could actually be able to do some, because we've shown over and over, right, how much we can do when we can just be left to our own devices, right? Listen to this again, just so y'all can hear, because that might have went over some of y'all head. All right.
I'd like to respond because I think that you sound like a reverend. That the middle class black man is much more violent than the so-called lower strata.
Well, that differs from what he was saying.
Well, you see, when you talk about people in North Shore, see, here's the point. Which, I'm talking to black folk now. You know, that no matter what happens, the dialectics of the situation are going to make you either get off the fence or crawl in a hole in the ground. It is the ability to take your own resources and develop a culture, a society, a community of our own, the way we want it, free from white interference. And we give you the same privilege. We're not interested in interracial housing. We don't want your neighborhood. We want ours to be just as good. See, we don't want a store in your neighborhood. We don't want you coming in our neighborhood and open up stores and exploiting us and then go home and throw a bomb if we move next door out in the suburbs. We don't want your schools, but we want our schools to be the highest and the best possible for our black progeny. See, what people don't understand, we are saying, and we're not asking. You see, the die is cast, as I said, we're not asking, we're saying this is the way it's going to be.
Well, Mr. Meek, why do
We're not asking, right? That's the part. That's the difference in the mentality. We done asking y'all. We done negotiating with y'all. We done doing that. That whole mentality is done. All right. In 2025, going into 2026, all Black Americans is doing is telling y'all what's happening. We told y'all to listen to us about what Donald Trump was doing. Y'all didn't listen. Fine, cool. We told y'all it's delineation and it's happening. We telling y'all we about to get reparations and it's coming. Ain't no more asking. All right. Ain't no more having to explain nothing to y'all. I'm not doing that. Anybody who try to ask me what's the delineation movement about, do your own research. What do you guys know? You got to do your own research, homie. We already moved. We're moving too fast, bro. We already told y'all when you guys chose your side, you better go run for cover. That's what he said. And that's facts. Y'all chose what to do. Y'all thought y'all was so fucking smart. You guys thought that you guys knew everything that was going to happen. And look, just like we all predicted. And mind you, based on what? Us already dealing with it, with the white establishment. We know how they move. We've been living with them for over 400 years. We know them better than most. And so when y'all didn't listen, okay, cool, fine, go ahead. Enjoy yourselves, right? But the goal now, is self-preservation, building, community building, right? Getting locked in, saving money, investing money correctly, you feel me? And staying fit. All right, that's the goal right now, okay? Staying fit, staying financially stable, watching out for the phonies and the fakes, you know what I'm saying? And banging out this content and riding on all the bullshit. You feel me? Ain't nobody got time to be explaining to y'all what's happening, what's going to happen when we already told y'all. The prophecy is already being fulfilled and y'all so late. Okay? The prophecy is already being fulfilled and y'all are so late. And that's why I be trying to tell people, like, when I come on here and I bring receipts and I bring all these historical references, like, that's my side. That's what I do on this channel. Everybody else has their own lane. You feel me? Everybody else can do whatever they do. But over here, this is what I'm bringing. I'm bringing historical facts. I bring history. I bring actual receipts to back up anything that I have to say. I bring a little bit of commentary based on what? My own personal experiences and my resume. Okay? I come from a real background. You know what I'm saying? I come from a real family. So when people try to, debate, you feel me, and try to, you know what I'm saying, come on here and try to, downplay what's going on with me, I just bring them receipts, man. I don't really have time to explain things to people. You feel me? Like it's just not. It doesn't even. What's the word? Like it doesn't even like equate to people that you really gotta like learn better. You gotta figure yourselves out. You gotta know who you are, because if you don't, you know what I'm saying, you're gonna be lost in the sauce. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just what happens. And like, you feel me? Like this is where I come from, bro. You feel me? This is my family. You dig? This is what a Black American family looks like. All right. I don't have like any doubts. You feel me? Like I don't have to wonder. There's no, what are you? Who did you? No, right here. This is all me. You see me right there, you know what I'm saying, right there next to my mom in a white shirt, you know what I'm saying, peeking around the corner. You dig? But this is where I come from, man. Like, y'all definitely, I don't know what's up. Some people, they all have different families and factions of things that they, represent. And from my perspective, I try not to be one of those people who just come out here and just making shit up. You feel me? I try to always bring from a real perspective, because I have real people behind me. You know what I'm saying? A real family that do real things in this world and who have set the example for me. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have like any soft role models. You know what I mean? Like I had real men, real women, real families, real fathers. You know what I mean? And so for me, like it was real. Like I didn't come from that. I came from this. Like this is where I come from. That's my grandpa, my uncles right there. Real Black men. I was forged and fired behind these brothers right here, man. You feel me? Look at the melanin in that room. You know what I'm saying? The athletic ability. You feel me? It's not the real hairlines. All right. You see them sideburns. Fuck is y'all talking about? I came from that. So for me, as a real person, like growing up, you feel me, having this influence in my family, in my cipher, in my home, you feel me, on a regular basis. You feel me? It was incredible. And I learned how to move and how to conduct myself, principles and rules, structure, you know what I mean? Life advice, you know what I'm saying? How to cook, how to clean, you know what I'm saying? You all learn that. You learn that from real principles. And it's unfortunate, because a lot of these young boys and girls, they don't grow up. They don't have that same tribe anymore. Them tribes are lost these days. There ain't many tribes anymore. And that's why it's, regardless of it being on the internet, it's great to see that the Black American tribes is closing ranks. And we're all starting to share information and share, family trees and our, family pictures, where we come from. It feels right. It makes you feel like you're a part of that tribe again. You know what I mean? Because, a lot of these people in these pictures are not here anymore. You feel me? My two uncles on the side, them is the last ones. My grandpa and my uncle, rest in peace. You feel me? And so you have that base, you know what I mean? To have that base, to have these type of people in your life, you know what I'm saying? To be able to be fortunate enough. You dig? Fortunate enough to have these type of experiences, man. Let me tell you, dude, like it was never a dull moment. You know what I'm saying? It was never a dull moment. It was always, good times. And we definitely, I feel like, have grown as a family since then, right? But I've always been very well connected with, not only just the family, but as well. Just, making sure that as I grew up and I became, who I am today, that I always made sure to pay homage to the people who, paved the way for me. You know what I'm saying? And so that was like a big part of kind of my growth and me being who I became. And, the chart path that I went on was all based on that. You feel me? And like, I felt a certain responsibility to make sure that I always stay true, you know what I mean, to my ancestors and to the people who were paving the way for me, you know what I'm saying? And like, look, you know what I mean? Like this is my great grandfather right here on the farm. You know what I'm saying? Like there was nothing in my, consciousness that would ever disconnect me from these people right here. You know what I'm saying? Like your real ancestor, the people that really paved the way for you. And I think, there's been so many people in this world who are so disconnected that they're willing to get on the internet and say whatever, do whatever, have no morals, you know what I mean? Talk down in their own lineage, talk down on their own people. That's based on, I think, like I said, a dejected reality where they are so disconnected from their ancestry and they're so disconnected from who they are, and that's the funny part. They always talk about Black Americans and how we're not connected to our lineage and we don't know our fathers and all this crap. You feel me? That so many people have been saying, over these last, this year where Black Americans have delineated, right? There's been so many people talking about Black Americans don't know who they are. Black Americans don't know their fathers and Black Americans and blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? Hating on us, man. Talking about something. What do you mean? You feel me? What do you mean, bro? There's no way. Because look at this. Merry Christmas to all of you guys out there, okay? We don't know who our fathers are. We don't know who our family are. This is my family right here, man. All right? My dad, my mom, my sister, okay? So when people talk about, the Black American experience and, all this other crap, I was truly blessed to be able, right? To be able to come from a real family. You know what I'm saying? A real family, not just like, nah, my family's the shit. I don't have to worry about where I came from. Y'all can't tell me who I am. All right. You can't fake the funk. All right. This is where I come from. All right. I'm a real person. I have a real background. You know what I'm saying? So that's the point. Is I've been seeing a lot of that. I've been seeing a lot of Black Americans riding on people talking about the nerve of y'all to make it seem like Black Americans don't know who we are. We can go into our lineage many a years all the way back. You know what I'm saying? Years and years. Okay. Let me show you guys something real quick. Okay. Look at this. This is my aunt. All right. This is my grandpa's sister. You cannot tell me that this woman does not look Native American. That looks like an Aboriginal woman. Okay. Look at the afro, the hair. That's my grandpa's cousin, his first cousin Smitty. Okay. These are the people that I grew up looking at and being so enamored with the beauty and just like, what, like how do you look so exotic? Like, what is this? What is going on here? And that's because we come from that. That's who we are. Okay. And so when people try to, debate, people try to discredit, people try to always, say, oh, you guys are this. No, you guys are that. Nah, I don't think so. I think I know who I am. I think I'm pretty sure. You know what I'm saying? I think I've got it pretty much down packed. Okay, it's pretty obvious, but that's the point. Is we will never allow anyone to tell us who we are. You feel me? We will never allow that. Never again. Okay. Never again will I ever have to go back and forth with somebody about my lineage, bro. What? This is my Uncle Charles, okay? This is my grandma's brother. All right? This was my godfather, okay? Very close to this man. He was very influential in my life. All right? This is him on my great-great-grandfather's horse farm, all right? Clarksville, Texas, baby. Black people don't do what? Black cowboys. What you know about a black cowboy for real? What do you really know about a black cowboy for real? This is really what they were. This is what they looked like. Okay? This is exactly what a black cowboy looked like. Look at the posture. My Uncle Charles was riding horses before he could walk. Okay? So the overall mentality, the grit, it's in me. I don't have to fake this shit. You feel me? All right. My roots are deep. You know what I'm saying? We come from real shit. Look at that. That is a massive, massive animal. Okay. And look at the control. You feel me? You guys gotta stop allowing people to play with y'all. Y'all got to stop allowing people to tell you who you are. Because like I said, I ain't going back and forth with nobody in 2026. All we going to be doing in 2026 is getting this content off and putting out the facts. That's it. I ain't got time for nothing else, man. I'm not finna be going back and forth with y'all about things that I already know. That's why I said I already know this. This is stuff that I already know. I become the archive in my family. All right. I'm archiving everything. Everything's getting put into digital spaces. I'm taking it from the paper to digital, and we gonna put it out here to make sure that these pictures and all of this family data and information remains protected and preserved. Okay, that's what you have to do, all of you. I repeat, every person who has access to these things as a Black American, you should be doing everything that you can to make sure that you guys are putting this together and you're keeping things tight. All right, because it's necessary, right? You have to, right? This is my great grandma. It's my granny right here next to her caddy. Her caddy. All right. That's one my great grandfather bought for her. Okay. This is how a lot of Black Americans was living, man. A lot of people that they talk about Africa and Africans and all that stuff. Africans were still living in huts, man, when we was riding around in caddies. That's just the facts. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, this is my great grandmother. Okay. She was riding around in caddies. You dig? This is just what it was. Like, this is how a lot of Black Americans was living. It wasn't just, we're so impoverished. No, a lot of Black Americans were living really good and they were doing really well. It was unfortunate for all the BS that they had to go through just to be able to do what they had to do. All right. And so from that perspective, that's why it pisses me off sometimes, because there's so many people who try to go around here and disrespect. Like, y'all don't even understand like the heart that it took for people to go and do what they've been doing for generations with no reward. Okay? No guarantee of what was going to happen. No guarantee that what we was going to do or get would be given back to us. And so every day we had to live in a level of survival mode. All right? This is what a lot of Black Americans had to deal with, man. It wasn't no joke. You feel me? This was just really what was going on. And that's why it really just annoys me, because y'all really be trying to bait and try to play. You feel me? Like, Black Americans really ain't like that, bro. We've been doing too much, man. We've been really, really trying, you feel me, to make it clear about what's really going on here. Look at this, man. This is where I come from. It's my cousins right here. All right. Real Black American families, y'all. That's where we come from. Don't y'all ever get it twisted. Don't y'all ever forget who you are and where you come from. And don't allow this internet stuff and these people on this internet to take you off of your mindset and your circle about what you represent, man. Because this stuff can get tricky. All right. People can take y'all off of your purpose. People can make you think something that you're not. You are exactly who your family knows you as. Okay. All the rest of this stuff is just entertainment. I come on here, I have fun for sure. Yes. You know what I mean? I enjoy this. It's very, very therapeutic to get on here and talk and express myself. No doubt. But at the same time, I will always remember who I am. And I'll never forget that. Okay? Never forget who I am. Because I know how important it is to make sure that you stay grounded and that you stay on your purpose and not to get distracted, man. You feel me? I made a lot of sacrifices this year, man. I went through a lot of stuff this year that, you know, I had to deal with personally and in quiet, you feel me, to myself. I didn't ask and make no excuses. I didn't put that on nobody else. I took it on me. Right on the chest. You feel me? I took that shit like a G and figured it out on my own. You know what I'm saying? And now turning things around. It's crazy how much growth you can make in a year if you really choose to lock in and push yourself to be the greatest version that you can be. All right? Nothing is guaranteed, though. Let's make that clear. Nothing is guaranteed. And I'm far from where I want to be. But at the same time, I'm on the right track. And I can live with that. You feel me? I can live with the fact that I'm on the right track. I'm going in the right direction. You know what I'm saying? I'm representing for my people. I can take a lot of pride in this. You feel me? I'm representing for these people right here. The fam. You dig? You know what I'm saying? We did it, you know what I'm saying, the right way. I didn't have to chuck and jive. I didn't have to talk down on nobody. I didn't have to create no controversy. I'm building this thing out the mud. You feel me? One subscriber at a time, one supporter at the time, one comment, one like at a time. And that's cool. I'm cool with that, man. Because a lot of people, bro, I see a lot of people, man, they get on this internet and they just lose their mind. They think this shit is like, you know, gonna be forever. And it's not. Like, at least from my perspective, you know, I don't take this shit for granted. I don't take one person for granted. Nobody who supports me, I don't take that for granted at all. If you took time to watch a video or to watch a live stream or to spend time, you know, supporting what I'm doing over here, I super appreciate that, because I understand, like, we're in a world where so many people could be doing so many different things. You feel me? You can be watching and supporting and scrolling and doing whatever you want to do, but some people choose to, feel me, showing love. That's incredible, man. That, you know, over 500 people would be interested in something that I have to say. You feel me? Like, that's great. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely something that I take a lot of pride in, you know? And I really do appreciate the people who come and support. You know what I'm saying? It's different for me to see that, you know what I mean? So y'all make sure you like and subscribe. You feel me? Make sure you stay tapped in with your boy. You know what I mean? So yeah, let's look at, let me show y'all something too. Let's keep going here, right? So boom, let's get in. Let's go. Let's see if y'all can see that. Let me know if y'all can see my screen. Boom. All right. So here we go. Ancestry.com. You feel me? This is a family tree right here. So I got to, so here's, we can start at the bottom, right? There's a lot of people, ain't it? All right. So let's pull it all the way out. Boom, boom, boom. All right. So there we go. It's a good look at it, right? So we'll start right there. Boom. So here's me, here's my sister, my cousins right here. Bam, that's me right there, Brandon. You know what I'm saying? Boom, right at the bottom. You know what I mean? We're going in. So let's see. Maybe I could pull it full screen. Let's see. Yeah. Then I'm gonna go just a little bit. All right, here we go. Boom. All right. So look. Now, what we gonna do is We're gonna scroll in. So look, all right. So then we go to my parents, right? We got that second gen. Boom. Now this is my grandparents' generation right here, right? And so if you just zoom in, move that over a little bit. So I can go here where I have my Robinson, which is my grandpa, you feel me? Boom, you go there, or go here, right? Boom, right there. But if I go to my grandma's side, or my granny, as you can see here, my granny had over 16 siblings, right? Look at that. Look at that. Right. And I haven't even listed like their children, because if I keep going, the stem is going to get crazy at the bottom. Like it'll be so many people at the bottom right here. And if you keep going, just boom, 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 all them people, right? So bam, that's off top. So then you go up, right? All right. So now we in what? We in the 1800s, right? Because this is my great grandmother, right? So this is my second great grandparents right here. Boom. Sally Mae Sims, right? Right there. Texas, right? So we'll go to her profile. She was born in 1888. You know what I'm saying? Boom. So we got all that right there where we have everything set up for you, right? Born in Texas, you know what I'm saying? We got the records, federals, got the death certificate, the census, you know what I'm saying? Everything is laid out correctly, right? Beautiful. It's crazy, right? So we go back. Let's go back here. Boom. Still on Sally Mae, right? Boom. Sally Mae Sims. We go here. We're going to do it in. Bam. We go up, right? So now where we at? We are in the 1850s, right? With Mose Slims and Emma Van Dyke, right? Boom. Okay. We got that as my third great grandparents. So maybe we can keep going, no? All right, we'll keep going. Boom, right here to Sally Butte Sims, right? In Mississippi, Muskogee, Oklahoma, all right? Boom. And then what do we find? We find them U.S. Native American enrollment in the 5 civilized tribes, right? Right there. So when you see stuff like that, right? I mean, it's pretty straightforward, right? That's pretty much what you see, right? So boom, open that up. Oh, okay, we got to go back. We got a little paywall, but that's where we start, right? Bang. So we view the records. Oh, we got to go back. Okay. Well, as the paywall will be there. All right. So anyways, this one right here, though, it's crazy. And this is from 1834 when she was born. Okay, guys, 1834. That's how far we back now. Okay, so let's keep going, right? Because what? We're already in the Native American side, right? But we go all the way up to her parents. What do we find? We find Patsy Walker Butte, the mulatto slave, 1812 in Mississippi. Okay. And what also do we find? Oklahoma Territory and Indian Territory, the 5 civilized tribes. Okay. This is what I always speak to, guys, when I talk about, you know, us being indigenous, us being Native American, us being who we say that we are, right? And this is all the way back to the 1790s, all right? So if that's a product of who she is in the 1790s, right? Keep going up. So what does that turn into? That turns into Elizabeth Prince. And these are people who are what? Colonizers. We are in the colonizer side of things, right? Elizabeth Prince, 1763, Conway, Ori, South Carolina. Okay, that's where we're at. Okay, we're going into the Prince family, right? We keep going up. And what do we see? We see John James Beat, right? The Millers, the Mansfields. So let's take a look at John James, huh? John James from Farranseer Parish Killer Chandra Haven, Ireland. Okay, so I can trace back even the people who owned my family. That's what I be trying to tell people, man. Like y'all really think it's some like crazy science to this, and it's really not that hard, man. I just showed you guys my entire lineage, and did you see anything that referenced Africa? Anything that referenced Africa? I don't see any connection. We just went through the entire family tree on my mom's side. Okay, I'm building my dad's side right now. We're working through South Carolina, but when I have that together, we're gonna go through that too. But that's all I think Black Americans is saying is we're looking at the data, we're looking at the statistics, we're taking our genealogy, we're trying to figure out what's going on, and we don't see any connection to Africa based on the family tree. Word. So how does that work, huh? How do we figure that out? How did we know? It took me no time to get on here, put all my family information, get everything correct, and then what else happened? Boom. Now, right? Now I have a straight up picture. I have the exact tree. I have the exact documentation to back up my sentiments of what I say, right? And so it's crazy, you know, because there's a big time, you know, I don't know if you would say like there was a debate, because there is no debate at this point. Like there is no debate, right? That Black Americans have already proven that we are a part of the soil that is not only here, but that is integral and foundational of this country, right? But I think now the conversation kind of shifted from that to now why are Black Americans being so cocky, or why Black Americans are being so arrogant about what's happening. And I do not care. I do not care, y'all. I don't. I just, like I said, I don't got time to be going back and forth with these people about things that, you know what I'm saying? We have to go back, man. Sky, salute to Sky, man. I see you in the chat, brother. He said, not the forehead tribe. Y'all had money. Hey, man, look, you know, I feel like the culture that I come from and the family that I came from, man, we were a part of that farming community. So when we're going through the farming community, like I felt like we had, you feel me, a lot. You know what I mean? We had a lot to offer during that time. And I really wanted to make sure that like I paid homage to that, because it's a rich history that we have in our family. You know what I'm saying? And like, that's why I was seeing when people was talking about the Black cowboys and, oh my gosh, like I didn't know that Black people own horses and all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, like I've known that since I was literally a child. Like I knew that my family lived on a farm and that they raised horses and that they were cowboys when I was a child. And so it didn't really, you know, like, I don't know, it didn't really surprise me, because I had already known that, you know what I'm saying? I knew that Black Americans have been handling and, you know, they had been, you know, working with horses since horses were brought over here, because we were the ones who were, you know, in the stables. We were the ones who were taking care of the farm. We were the ones who were raising those horses. So for us, it was never a thought to have to worry about, oh, you know, like, can Black Americans ride horses and da 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 da. It's like, dude, like we've been doing that shit since the beginning of time. Like we're literally the ones who taught them how to ride horses. Let's keep it a buck. All right. Even if you go back to like Native Americans, you feel me? Like they were the ones who had the horses. You dig? They were the ones who were, you know, raising and also learning how to use them and work in conjunction with them in harmony. You feel me? And so that was the part of it where it was like, yeah, there's no denying like the lineage that a lot of Black Americans would come from. You know what I'm saying? And like the fact that a lot of our, you know, ancestors were a part of these 5 tribes, and the fact that they were, you know, a integral part in discovering, you know what I'm saying, these documents, right? And we can look at these documents, right, and see ourselves, you know what I'm saying? We see who we are, you know what I mean? And it's crazy, you know, because I look on there and boom, I see, you know, I see my family, I see myself. You feel me? I see who I am through my ancestors, you know what I'm saying? And like, it's unfortunate, you know, that a lot of people don't really know their ancestry and they don't have any connection to it because they didn't, you know, feel the need to go out there and to, you know, take initiative with it. But I mean, look at this shit, guys. Let me show y'all real quick. Let me show y'all this. Look at that. Now let's zoom in because we got to. Cherokee Nation, the Cherokee Rolls, okay? When people talk, you know what I'm saying? People talk crazy and they try to, you know, I don't know what to say to that. What do you say to this? Like, what is the argument to saying when Black Americans say that we are Cherokee, that we have Cherokee in our family, that we are a part of that tribe? Why would we lie when there's literally scrolls? Okay, this is what they don't want us to know. You feel me? This is what they don't want y'all to know about yourselves. And I'm glad that, you know, I've been able to, you know, put all this together, not only for myself, but we're gonna, you know, put this together for the fam too. But it's just great because, you know, we can bring this to the table and say, hey man, like I don't know, you know, what y'all talking about, but like from a real perspective, this is who I am. You know what I mean? This is what I represent. You feel me? Like y'all could, you know, have your own, I don't know, debates and understandings about these things, but I'm here to debunk. You feel me? Hold up, let's see. Let me turn this one off. And then let's turn this one on. Let's see. Let me show y'all this too right here. Ba-dum. All right. Look at that. U.S. Freedmen's Bureau records. All right. This is from 1865. All right. And this is from my my 5th great grandmother, Patsy Walker Beauty. They have her described here as a mulatto slave. Okay. And so these are her U.S. Freedmen papers from 1965. All right. And she was, you know, she was conceived in 1812. Right. So we already know what it is. Okay. If she was conceived in 1812, we already know what it is, man. So her whole life was lived in captivity as a mulatto slave. And those are her freedmen papers right there. All right. So it's crazy, man. Just, you know, when you talk to people, when people try to, you know, debate the Black American experience and they try to, you feel me, have many things to say, they know what time it is. We know what time it is. We out here trying to make it clear to y'all about, hey man, we know who we are. Y'all don't gotta, you feel me, go with these conversations. We ain't gotta have no back and forth. We already know. You know what I'm saying? But it's just for everybody else who lost out there not really understanding who they are. And hey man, I'm gonna stay away from that shit. You feel me? We gotta stay away from the people who don't know who they are. We gotta only attract and stay connected to the people who are actually a part of this, this world that we living in. And us, like I said, as far as Black Americans sharing our genealogy and our experiences across the board, you feel me? Making it clear that, we are who we say we are. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, I was on here for a little bit. You feel me? A little 2-hour stream. Yeah, but I'm just kicking it, man. I hope everybody out there, I hope y'all have a happy holidays, man. I hope your Christmas and Christmas Eve is all great and you guys, have a lot of fun. If you don't celebrate the holidays, that's totally fine too. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you into. You know what I mean? But yeah, thank you all for coming through. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, man. Make sure you show love. We're trying to hit to 1,000 subs. We're on our way, more than halfway. So please make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, man. I'm Brandon B. Thank you for hanging out. You know what I'm saying? We was just kicking it tonight. You know what I mean? Going through some Black American history, watching some informational videos, kicking it, man. So thank you guys all for coming through, man. And I'm out. Peace.